And here we see a young Nigerian boy playing FIFA. Oh, sorry, I've been informed I'll be shot in the temple if I don't call it FC 26. He's here having fun, shit trim and all. He's just scored. But what's this? Upon kickoff, his opponent is coming forward and scoring immediately. We see a complete change in behavior, maybe a mating ritual. Well, we're back.
Hi again, it's me.
If there's one thing that EA Sports have managed to bring to our lives, it's microtransactions. 100%. Yeah, it's a bit of a man. After that, foolishness. No, sorry, I mean joy. I'm sorry, my EA Sports overlord. I didn't mean to offend you like that. Please, can we just get me? Let me rephrase that. Whether it be mass childhood character building or DIY skills like redesigning your bedroom table, this is a perfect game. Okay, quickly, whilst they're not looking yet, this is every stupid thing in FC 26. Now, one thing mentioned by David Attenborough in the start, the name's a work in progress, was the true nature of the FC experience. Kickoff goals. Kickoff ironically has a different meaning in this situation because it's absolute chaos as soon as one happens. If you're unaware or unfamiliar, once you score a goal or once the opponent scores a goal and we go back to kickoff, it appears as though all the defenders involved in the game turn into that set 8 kid that thinks a tennis ball is a grapefruit, or like during the celebrations of the goal, they decided to neck 6 Jaeger bombs and come stumbling back onto the field of play with an alcohol addiction. My centre-backs are having a difficult time trying to track back as soon as we've scored a goal. They've got the movement of a dishwasher in quicksand, with Harry Maguire sat on top of it. This is mostly a thing online, by the way, and it was an issue in FC 25. It very much has not been fixed during FC 26 at all, and in one sense it does lead to extremely entertaining games that are very back and forth, but it also causes a lot of ridiculous scorelines and complete basketball games. Some of the scorelines you're getting in games are absolutely fucking nuts, and for the most part, it's caused by the fact that you'll have like 6 back-to-back kickoff goals within like 7 in-game minutes, and that happens like every other game. I just know 2013 KSI is gassed at the fact that the kickoff glitch still exists to this day. Meanwhile, me and my opponent will be having a standoff till the 97th minute waiting to score a goal so the other can't reply. The Liverpool way. Now, FC 26 is a global game for a global market. It's sold all across the world in different continents and revolves around a sport that has 210 FIFA-affiliated officially ranked nations, of which a decent chunk of those FIFA participants will be taking part in a World Cup that's just on the horizon in 2026, providing they have about £800,000 in a trust fund, links to the Chinese mafia, and have once had dinner with Gianni Infantino after the year 2007. You can get World Cup tickets for the low price of 47 easy payments of $799. It is an absolutely massive year for international football, with the World Cup coming up in America, Mexico, and Canada. It's just a shame you absolutely won't be able to reproduce that on FC 26. Yet, because whilst there's shooting going on at the World Cup, and Harry Kane's also trying to score a penalty from 12 yards, there won't be any of that shooting going on in FC 26 international games. We are currently sitting at an all-time low of 28 national teams in an EA Sports FIFA, in essence, game. This is absolutely awful, and one of them's Northern Ireland, so we can barely even count that as a footballing nation. The map that EA are actually using to cooperate like a group of nations together for international football on FC 26 is genuinely from like 47 BC. There are Victorian children that knew more than 28 countries in the world. But this has been plaguing EA Sports' franchise here for a little while, and with the removal of New Zealand going into FC 26, once again we're even further down from the pretty pitiful numbers that we had last season as well. But on top of that, there's more massive nations that have been missing for a while. Let's talk about Belgium. To be honest with you, that's probably for the best for their fans, given how they do in real life at tournaments.
Let me talk! Let me talk!
A nation like that, that's had a golden generation recently, has been making the latter stages of the Euros or the World Cup pretty regularly. The fact they're not even featuring, given all the other European teams that are, is an absolute crying shame. We are, of course, missing Brazil due to licensing issues, which is ridiculous in itself. The most successful nation in footballing history are not in a FIFA game. That's insane. But on top of that, South America is a barren wasteland anyway. Where's Uruguay? Where's Colombia? Fuck it, Paraguay just qualified for the World Cup. Like, you slap them in the game. We even had Bolivia back in the day for like absolutely no reason, with like a 66 rated striker. We don't even need to pay that much for licensing. Yet all we've got in South America, one of the richest, most vibrant footballing areas on the globe, is Argentina. And as far as the globalization or lack of in this instant goes, it's really, really bad. Of the 28 nations, 22 of them are based in Europe. And as I mentioned, we're still missing some pretty big nations in Europe too. But outside of that, if you're one of the 200 million people in Nigeria right now, unlucky lucky, G. You're not getting your team in the game. Or probably at the World Cup, the way things are going at the moment. On top of that, there's no Cameroon, no Senegal, no Ivory Coast or Egypt in Africa. There's no Australia or Japan or South Korea over in the Asian groups. It's pathetic, and in career mode, you wouldn't even be able to make a 32-team tournament, and that's the old number that you get for a World Cup these days. After the expansion of the World Cup, you are disastrously low on numbers, and with Gianni Infantino attempting to kill more footballing careers than Ruben Amorim at Manchester United, if there's a 64-team World Cup in the future, you won't even be able to fill out half of it in your career mode saves. Now though, we're taking a little detour. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a single segue for this, so just here's me like trying to make a YouTube video when I was 14 years old.
Initialization asks blondes or brunettes? Redheads. Bet you didn't see that coming.
Enthralling stuff. The 14-year-old Neek version of me, though, would have absolutely loved Rush. A 5-a-side game mode with an FC26 that had EA having wet dreams for a year straight. Now, I personally think Rush is all-round great entertainment, but there's one thing that really pisses me off. Like, really, the AI are unbelievably stupid. If you find yourself in a game where you're not actually filling out the full 5, you'll get AI players, usually in goal and, like, one other outfielder. The AI on FIFA are obviously usually pretty good, but the AI in Rush are like the AI on Twitter, where it combines like a cheeseburger and Rosa Parks, even though you just wanted it to explain a tweet to you. They're a mess because of the nature of the game mode. It's much smaller. I don't think they really just used to playing in a small confined area, and they just have no idea what they're doing, to the point where they're basically useless off the ball. They do charge after the ball when, you know, the actual players are usually getting forward in attack. There's not one staying back to make sure there's not a crazy counter-attacking opportunity. The goalkeepers are also pretty shit in Rush as well, and when one of my teammates has most likely gone to go get his mum so that he can wipe a mustard stain off his iPad screen, I need all the help I can get, not my AI running off the pitch. Speaking of AI, and maybe it needs some help when it comes to career mode, what's the key to a modern transfer window? Yep, that's right. Fabrizio Romano telling you that the deal had happened 17 months before it doesn't, and really just driving it into your skull.
Peggy 3.
He's even in the game now to tell you, I don't know, fucking Alejandro Garnacho lost his virginity over the weekend. But he'd be pretty concerned by some of the transfers happening in career mode. As you can see, the AI are fucking incompetent.
Special beyond special.
Teams will consistently have squads with absolutely no balance whatsoever. I'm talking about like 7 goalkeepers, 23 central midfielders or something, on like a Mikel Arteta vibe, but then like 5 defenders to their names. And I know this is kind of hard maybe to code. Maybe it's like a difficult thing to actually test for, because you've got to go like 10 seasons into the future. But it does start to get a little bit ridiculous when you've got AI teams trying to recreate those clickbait football thumbnails. We don't need squads that are built like top-heavy fractions. I already know Ruben Amorim's trying to take notes and make tactics and allow him to put 7 goalkeepers in between the sticks instead of Bayindir. Mikel Arteta gasped, realising that it's now socially acceptable for him to go and sign another 7 centre-back. But it makes life easier in-game when you get to like big competitions, because you've got a team that's got like no defenders in the Champions League semi-final, or maybe because you've got a 63 rated goalkeeper in between the sticks, even though you're playing against fucking PSG, for fuck's sake. Oh, fucking hell, they're looking again. Sorry, lads. Yes, EA. Yeah, no, you're right. We should be giving an opportunity to the youth of tomorrow. Why shouldn't we give a 63 rated goalkeeper a chance in the Champions League final from Djibouti? Fuck the feds, man. I'm gonna have to go. There needs to be more authenticity in this game, you know? And that's where authentic gameplay comes in. And then it immediately leaves because it's absolutely fucking shit. EA's flagship concept for FC26 was the fact that there was going to be 2 different ways to play. 2 completely different styles of gameplay, 2 types of AI that you'd be going up against based on what game mode you were playing. If you wanted high-octane, frenetic football in pro clubs or Ultimate Team, for example, you'd get competitive gameplay, which was a bit more end-to-end, a little bit more entertaining, and had more emphasis on being fun rather than necessarily being realistic. And then you had authentic gameplay. This was more offline or in career mode, where there was a bit more emphasis on like build-up play, breaking teams down, and ultimately feeling a bit more like a real-life game would. Unfortunately, they molded this authentic gameplay around Mikel Arteta, because this thing is terrorism ball. A Special Ops Al-Qaeda operative director would play this version of the game and probably blow it up. I'll keep it a $1.50, but maybe he would have done that anyway. It's bad, it's so bland, and it's so boring. In the first week of this, it is just so hard to have goals scored by anybody. More nil-nils than a football division designed purely for morgues across the UK. And I don't mean the one that used to play FIFA. It's alright having gameplay that kind of remodels real life and is kind of as slow in terms of build-up play as real-life football, but real-life football is played over 90 minutes. And even then, it's sometimes still 0-0. Like, you need to actually, like, speed things up at least a little bit if you're going to condense that into a 6-minute halves game. That's 12 minutes in total. And it's an easy fix because you can just use competitive instead. You can change the sliders. There are plenty of videos online if you are a massive career mode fan and you do want to change that, but it just feels like it might have been a little bit of a waste of time given they put a lot of development into having 2 types of gameplay. Either way, let's just take it back to the good old days, back in my day, where an unk can just play 1 bit of good gameplay. And maybe we should take it back to the good old days with the FIFA soundtrack as well. Now, what makes a FIFA banger? A feeling of nostalgia or happiness, equally matched though by a feeling of trauma, by being emotionally abused by Victor Ibarbo. The FIFA soundtrack wasn't just a collection of songs. The style of those songs helped to create a bit of a world that you would play FIFA within as a kid. Now, younger viewers won't necessarily understand this maybe quite as much, but the soundtracks of like FIFA 12, FIFA 13, FIFA 14, all the way even through to like FIFA 17 had one really, really unique feel to them. And to be honest with you, at times they actually kind of just shaped my overall childhood music taste. There were regular appearances from the likes of Two Door Cinema Club, Jungle, or John Newman, songs that will go down in the history books of some of the best FIFA songs of all time, matched by bands or music or artists that were really just underground in comparison. Songs from the likes of Apartment or The Whitest Boy Alive, great name by the way if you're like, well, if you like Tommy Robinson, I suppose. Graffiti 6, Zay Maria, these are songs that were amazing, but nobody really knew who they were, but they still had the FIFA soundtrack vibe. There's an absolute shit ton of them. The entire FTW series and soundtrack is basically revolves around either music that features in the In-Betweeners or on the FIFA soundtrack. And it's not just the fact that we were young, they actually evoked a certain feeling within you. Let's take like Empire of the Sun, for example, yeah? These are songs that make you feel nostalgic when you hear them for the first time. These are songs that make you feel like it's like dreamy, or overall just like a feeling of whimsy and joy and happiness, and as I mentioned, nostalgia. This is what FIFA songs used to be, no matter what the genre. Avicii Nights is EDM, but it still gives you that sense of feeling when you listen to the songs or the chord progression or whatever. Nowadays, though, it's a completely different vibe. Boot up the FIFA soundtrack on Spotify and 30% of it is just random deep house music. But that doesn't really match the vibe of football when you think of like World Cup tunes or the intro music for Sky Sports Super Sunday. Even the world music is just like kind of heavy, like industrial rap music that is good in its own right, but doesn't really remind you of football. If you heard that in the street, you wouldn't think James Rodriguez. You'd think, who dropped some spanners down the stairs? And whilst there are still a few examples of some really good songs that would fit on a FIFA soundtrack from 10 years ago, I did some research for a video that in the end never actually came out and worked out that in total, out of the 96 songs on the soundtrack, about 7 of them sound like confirmed, totally legitimate FIFA soundtrack songs from either now or from the past. That's a horrific conversion rate. Meanwhile, there are songs still being made right now that could fit that narrative, that could work. You know what would slap in a FIFA soundtrack? A song that Nico B made recently, or one that Bakar released this year. Even as I said, the world music of these days doesn't match the world music of back in the day. Like Casio Kids by Fot Eye Hose, or Astro by Panda, or Panda by Astro, I can't remember which way around it is. Either way, please bring back the old nostalgic vibes, instead of wasting time on things like Zlatan FC. Lads, we don't need to give this guy any more of an ego. Why have we done? I don't know if it was part of the deal to bring Zlatan Ibrahimovic into the game as an icon, and I'm sure it didn't take the craziest amount of time. All they had to do was duplicate him over 10 more times. But are you telling me I've got Zlatan FC in the game and not Brazil, and not Belgium, not Nigeria, not Japan? Like, lads, come on. But the real most dangerous thing, I think, for this FC 26 game, right, is the community. And I don't want to take digs at anyone, okay? We've all got to win by any means necessary. But how about we park the competitive nature just for a second and remember to have fun? Why are we doing 8 men behind the ball all the time in Weekend League? I know we've got to win, lads, but we're taking away any resemblance of fun that this game might actually have to offer. And you know the crazy part is, there actually is a little bit of fun in there. Because for all of the stupid shit I've said in this video, the gameplay isn't even half bad. It is actually more fun to play than FC 24 and FC 25, which made me want to jump off a multi-story car park. There are some fun elements of FC 26 that make me not even feel that bad about playing it. And whilst exploits and cheesing the game and finding the most overpowered ways to beat your opponents will always exist in gaming, we gotta give ourselves a chance to enjoy a game that's actually not half bad. Is that alright? Was that okay? Alright, cool. Not having Nigeria in the game is so fucking shit. Your number 9 has been shot in the... What the fuck, bro? That was my main striker. This game's fucking bullshit, man. What the fuck is this, bro?